My name is Tracy Spittler, and I'm in the Web Design and Development program here at Full Sail University. I love puzzles, solving problems, and everything tech-related. I haven't done much as far as coding goes prior to this course. However, I have dabbled in HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and the smallest bit of Ruby. Many years lie between when I last attempted to learn a programming language and now. After completing SDI in this course, I feel as though I have a good handle on what I've learned to create so far with C#. Throughout the entire progression of my code, I made sure to let the user know what was happening, ask them for input, validate that input, and then output the required information back to the user. I also conducted some rigorous testing to break the program in order to find errors. The swap name challenge left me stumped for a good while, so much so in fact that I moved on to tackling some of the other challenges first. When I came back to work on it, I realized I had been trying to overcomplicate the code. Working on something else for a while helped me see where I was going wrong in the beginning. After that, it didn't take long to complete. For the backwards challenge, I split the user's sentence up word by word using the space between as a delimiter and saved the words to an array. I then created a for loop so I could cycle backwards through that array and save them inside of an array list, which I then converted to a string to output the user's sentence in reverse. To me, by far, this was the funnest challenge. When it came to the age convert challenge, the main issue I had was figuring out how to account for the leap year. I found help on the MSDN website, creating a loop to cycle through the years starting from when the user was born, and using the newly found datatime.isLeapYear, I was able to count how many leap years they had lived to see. I then did the rest of the math accordingly. I'm going to challenge myself to ask the user for more information so I can create code to keep a more accurate amount of time that they have existed. Oh, the temp convert challenge. By the time I got to this challenge, I had had practice from the other ones, although I did have to look up the math on how to convert the temperatures properly. Every time I have ever had to convert a temperature, I've had to look up the math. I wish I were kidding. Other than input, validation, and variables, I did make sure to format the output so there wasn't a run-on of numbers. The menu I created for the user's exercise selection lies in the main method. I think this was the easiest part of the coding challenges for me. I started with a console.writeLine to welcome the user to my program and give them a list of options, asking them to select one using the numbers 1 through 4. I then created a variable to hold the user's response with console.readLine and validated the input using a while loop, making sure they didn't leave it blank and that it was indeed a number from 1 to 4. From there, I used an if conditional to call the appropriate function based on the user's selection. So if the user chose 1, the swap name exercise would run. If they chose 2, then the backwards exercise would run, and so on. Learning to program is definitely challenging, but also extremely fun. I look at errors as a way to challenge myself and further my knowledge in the code that I'm working with. Some advice that I could give is to make sure you start as early as possible and keep going to stay ahead of schedule. Studying C# outside of the ST class will also help immensely. Looking back, I realize that I would have benefited much more from keeping up with C# and challenging myself in my spare time between this class and SDI. Don't get discouraged if you get stuck on a problem. Sometimes it helps to walk away and take a break or work on something else for a little while. When you try to tackle that problem again, you'll be doing so with a clearer head. It's something that saves me on a fairly regular basis. Good luck to you, and don't forget to enjoy the journey. Thank you so much for your time.